In these words, we're using the OU for the owl sound as in sour, bounce, plough and fountain, and we're using the PH for the sound in graph, photograph, autograph, nephew, telephone and atmosphere. Now, you'll see down the bottom here there's some interesting information about the etymology or the history of some of these words. So we know words containing GH are from Germanic. It's a difficult sound for us to replicate in English because it's a guttural sound at the back of our throat. Sounds a little bit like someone's going to spit or vomit on you. We don't make that sound easily, so when we see GH in a word, we leave out that sound. It's like a huck sound. But when we write it, we must put those letters in. Now, the OUGH is a very interesting phonogram because it can make 6 different sounds. There aren't a lot of words that make any in each of those sounds that it can make, but they are common. So we've got where it can make the OR sound as in thought, the O sound as in bought, the UF sound as in rough, the OFF sound as in cough, the long O sound as in though, and the oo sound as in through. So just be aware of that. And it's a very important one for you to learn because those words are so common. Now, in these words where we've got the PH for the sound, photograph is an interesting one because we've got it at the start and the end of the word. Autograph, we've got the AU2 for that OR sound. Nephew, we've got that EW for the OO sound. Telephone, we've got the E making the O make our long sound there. And atmosphere, we've got that ear sound at the end, ERE, so just be careful there. Now, what do these words mean? So sour means, it's like the taste you get in your mouth from eating or sucking on a lemon. It's not pleasant, it's quite sour. Some people like it. Bounce means to rebound. Plough means to dig up. It's an instrument to dig up the ground before we plant seed. And it's actually a noun and a verb. You can plough a paddock or a field, and the plough is the instrument that you use. A fountain is a jet of water coming from something, a hole in the ground or in a particular structure or sculpture. A graph is a diagram we use to represent data. A photograph is a visually recorded image. Autograph is a signature. A nephew is a male relative. So your auntie and uncle, you would be a nephew to your uncle and aunties if you're a boy, if you're a male. A telephone is used to communicate to others over a distance, and atmosphere is the gaseous area around the Earth. Okay, you've already learnt the owl sound OU in out and owl. So we've got sour, bounce, plough and fountain. These are just harder words with more info in them. So in bounce we've got the CE making the sound. We've also got that GH which is silent on the end of plough just because we can't make that guttural sound. And we've got the AI before the N on the end of fountain. So we may give that a schwat sound, fountain. But you know it should be fountain, and the AI has to be written in there when you're spelling it. Now in these words, graph, photograph, autograph, nephew, telephone, atmosphere, we've got the PH making the F sound in those words. So just be aware of that. You've also got some other tricky bits in it. You've got the AU in autograph for the OR sound. You've also got that OO sound, which is tricky. At the end of nephew, telephone's not too bad, and atmosphere, you've got that ERE at the end. So a little bit to think about while you're working on this. You've got a crossword to do here, so you've got your clues for words going across and down the page. Do the easiest ones first, then cross them off, then go back and do the ones that you found a little bit more difficult. Down the bottom you simply have to read and fill the gaps with a list word from above. In these words, the OU is making the owl sound as in sour, bounce, plough and fountain. You have learnt this sound before and this representation of it, but these words are a little bit harder. So in bounce, you've also got to look at the CE at the end of a word commonly makes that sound. You've got the silent GH at the end that we can't make. That is quite a guttural sound that is difficult for us to mouth. So that's probably an old Germanic word. Fountain, you've got the AI before the N at the end, so we tend to give that a schwat sound. We go fountain. You have to remember that it's AI at the end. Then we've got the PH for the in graph, photograph, autograph, nephew, telephone and atmosphere. So you've also got the PH in photograph, you've got the PH at the start and the end of the word. In autograph, that AU is a tricky all sound. In nephew, you've got that OO sound at the end with the EW. Telephone and atmosphere, just be aware that you've got that E and E link in both of those. Now, the words photograph and autograph both contain the Greek combining form graph, which means drawn or written. So if we looked up the etymology or the history of these words, probably find that many of them are from the Greek language. Now, then down here you have to rewrite the list word there, and then you're going to cross out the word that does not belong. So if you look at sour, we've got bitter, acidic, sweet and tangy. Of course, sweet is the one that wouldn't belong there, would be the one that you must cross out. Now, alphabetical order, you've done this before. If you find a word, if you go through the alphabet A, now we've got two words starting with A, so therefore you must look at the next letter. So which comes first in the alphabet, the T or the U, and that will determine which of these words comes first in your order. You're going to have the same problem with plough and photograph. So they both start with P, so you have to look at the second letter. Verb families, you're writing the base word here. Here you're adding the S, the ing and the ed. Now if a word ends in E, like bouncing, don't forget the E goes away when ing comes to stay. And when you're adding the ed at the end, if the base word already ends in an E, you only have to add the D. We're not doubling the last letter in any of these words when we add a vowel suffix, because there's quite a few reasons. If you go through our checklist, you'll understand why, but if they're not a single syllable word, we're certainly not doing it. And we've got a PH at the end of many of them too, so that's not ending in a single consonant. Down the bottom, you just have to write the word graph. So the words photograph and autograph both contain the Greek combining form graph, which means drawn or written, which we've talked about above. Now you have to use three list words containing the word graph in sentences here. Greek combining forms. Combining forms are meaningful word parts that can occur at the beginning or end of a word. Greek words are often made up of more than one combining form and can have a suffix as well. So these words are often scientific or medical terms. And in the English language, we use a lot of these Greek words, so that's why we have to understand what they mean and put these word parts together. So you can match the Greek combining forms to the meanings. We've put a picture. If you think about it, you'll be able to link each of these terms with a picture, and then you've got to link them to the meaning of that picture and that form, Greek combining form. Now here you're going to fill in the gaps with the Greek combining form and write it in the correct group. So once you've filled all of these in, you can work out where those words are going, and there's 2 words for each of the Greek combining forms for you to work out.